Hey, Exoticals, it's your girl back with another Exotical rant. You know what I was thinking about? You really want to know? I was thinking about Keisha Miranda, a 34-year-old single mother from Memphis, and she was brutally murdered. Let's get right into it. Ladies, this is another cautionary tale, so if you are sensitive, please sign off now. This is a cautionary tale. Keisha was a 34-year-old single mother. She was from Memphis. She had two daughters. By two different men out of wedlock. And, she really wanted to be married. So while she was scrolling on Facebook, she ended up talking to some guy. She talked to this guy. She ended up got really serious with this man. He was actually incarcerated. So yeah, he was definitely a convicted felon. But she, thought, people make mistakes, second chances. He was currently serving a 12-year prison sentence when she began communicating with him. He kind of romanced her, said like he really needed a second chance, that he was really a good person. Long story short, she decided to marry this felon while still incarcerated. So she went ahead and married him. He told her like he loved her, of course. And again, like these guys that are in prison, their talk and communication game is on point, ladies. They know how to finesse. They know how to get what they want from women, especially women that have been in turbulent relationships, bad situations, and left abandoned by the father of their children. They see these women as easy targets. So a lot of times they will go after these women. For number one, they need money for commissary. Number two, they may actually be more attracted to your children. Not in this case, but some. Number three, they need a place to go once they're released because their family no longer deals with them because they're very toxic. So she didn't think about this. She had been in two previous relationships and was left with, holding the bag. She was left with nothing, abandoned by her baby's fathers. So she really kind of took to this guy. She married him while in prison again. When he got out, she had actually bought a house in another state because she was originally from Memphis, Tennessee. So she bought a house in another state so they could kind of start a new life. And she was just very attracted to this guy that was a convicted felon named Sheldon Nelly. So she was like, oh no, like everybody makes mistakes. And she thought they could live a happy life. She ended up, after he got out, she actually got pregnant. So she had, his child as well. Everything was going great. They were in a new town. They actually moved to, I believe it was North or South Carolina, to a small town. Wherever they moved, it was a small town. She bought a house. She was very attached to this guy. She really wanted to make things work. And this guy, again, she was 34. He was 46. He was serving a 24-year prison sentence for assault with a deadly weapon and illegal firearm possession, and a host of other charges. He was a career criminal. He had been to jail since the mid-90s, in and out of prison. But again, she wanted to give this guy a chance. And again, ladies, this is what I'm talking about. It's a lot of times when you have children out of wedlock, you start thinking internally, like self-consciously, you start thinking that nobody wants you because you have children, or a child out of wedlock is going to be hard to find another quality man. So you start thinking that you have to take whatever you get. That's why I always tell young women, if you don't already have a kid out of wedlock, don't have that child. Not to be mean or anything, but like, if this guy's not going to marry you first, I would not go for that type of situation, because what these guys really want to do is pigeonhole you so no other decent man will want want you. That's why they'll have one child by you, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they'll keep having as many children as you will allow with you, because they always know, oh, well, I can always go back to my baby mama. They want to like really pigeonhole you into a spot where like any decent, high value man or even a regular working man will think twice about getting in a relationship with you, because they're going to think that something's wrong with you. Why did your baby daddy leave you high and dry, is not even paying child support? Again, ladies, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I don't advocate marry before you carry, because these guys want to make your self-esteem so low that you'll accept a guy in prison, and you'll marry him in prison and start putting money on his books just for male attention. Because again, two other men had already broken down her self-esteem. So Keisha was just going along to get along. She thought this was the best she could do. And it was obvious because family members had like literally warned her about not engaging with this man from prison, not to engage in him, and definitely not to let him come stay with her and her 2 children prior to being released. But she did that anyway. She actually bought a house in another town, tried to ignore her family, definitely ignored them, and had a child by this man as soon as he got out of prison. Definitely a no-no. She was definitely dealing with a lot of abandonment issues. And Keisha, like, again, she met this man on Facebook. A lot of times these convicted felons, they do have access to the internet, to Facebook, to Instagram, and to other platforms to socialize with people. We live in the age of technology, so it's very easy for them to access people that are not incarcerated. So ladies, this is FYI. If you're lonely and you're like really, and you've had a couple kids out of wedlock, and no shade to that, life happens to some of us. We are all in different situations, but you made a few mistakes that turn into blessings, and you have children. Ladies, don't get so desperate for male attention that you'll start talking to convicted felons. Why don't you start, I would really suggest therapy, to see a licensed counselor, to get your head together and your self-esteem back up, because all of these negative past relationships do affect your future if you do not address the trauma and the drama. Okay, let's move on. So everything was going good, but Keisha started to really realize that this guy was just not used to regular living lifestyle. He was very institutionalized. So they started having problems. He ended up attacking her in a domestic dispute, and he was sent to jail. She called the police. He was locked back up for a domestic dispute. Shortly later, Keisha felt sorry for this man. This guy that she claimed to be her convicted felon husband, she felt sorry for him. So she actually bailed him out with $3,000 of her own money. Again, ladies, the manipulation. Ladies, men that don't have anything are mass manipulators. They have to be. They have to have a good talk game. They have to manipulate, because that's the only way they can get and keep women, is that if they manipulate them, if they talk a good game, and if they keep lowering their self-esteem by saying negative things about them. But you know how somebody can say something negative, but then be like, they try to say, I'm not trying to be negative, but you're kind of getting chubby, but I love fat. But it is really a put down, but they kind of switch it over to something positive, because they know they can't directly disrespect you and you'll know what it is. So they try to kind of cover it up with something to make it sound nice. This guy was a mass manipulator, and she even bailed him out after he physically assaulted her. This woman was very desperate, and unfortunately, Keisha was a MLS woman, but she got sucked into. That's why I say, ladies, when you're an MLS woman, you cannot live in the hood. You cannot accept Blackistan culture, because it will be to your demise. I'm not trying to be scary, but it will be. A lot of times we don't survive in these ghettos. We don't survive well in these hoods. we don't survive well. Either we end up getting disabled, unalived, constant belittlement. Like we end up overweight, obese, because of all the harassment, the physical violence, the domestic violence that these low income neighborhoods dwell in. We end up becoming the victims of those neighborhoods if we stay in those neighborhoods and never find a way out. So I do suggest, if you're a young woman and you're trying to find a way out of these, and you by no fault of your own, you grew up in the hood, you grew up in a lot of disenfranchised neighborhoods, I would suggest you come up with a plan to get out, for your safety, for your peace of mind, for your physical well-being. I would suggest to get out of these neighborhoods and not accept that type of culture that is very violent, that is very disorganized, that is definitely disenfranchised in its totality, and that is a lot of people, low vibrating people dwell in. I would definitely say get out of there and get out of there quick. Keisha, she really wanted to be with this man. She posts this man all over her social media, and she really wanted to create a vibe of happiness, of peace, of family with this man. But again, he did not want this. His nickname was Moses, and whatever. That's what a lot of people called him, was Moses. But he did not want that family life. He was too institutionalized. He had a violent past, and he took it out on Keisha. It's just, when you're dealing with somebody that has had a lot of trauma and drama and have been to prison, hurt people hurt people. Get it? Hurt people hurt other people. So if somebody's hurting, there is no way that they cannot hurt you because they're hurting. So you really have to take a step back when you're trying to. That's why I say vetting and discernment is key in dating and relationships, especially when we are seeking relationships with men. Vetting and discernment. So stop trying to turn these men into projects. A man will never be your project. You can never help a grown man. If his mother couldn't do it, his daddy couldn't do it, his family couldn't do it, the correctional facility in your state couldn't do it, the federal correctional facility couldn't do it, guess what? You can't do it, okay? You cannot change somebody that has been embedded in criminality and domestic violence and in not giving a fuck about anybody. You cannot change them. Stop trying to make men your projects. And that's what Keisha really did. She tried to make aka Moses, her project, and it failed. And unfortunately, it cost her life. Things began to crack because she started noticing he was not interested in family lifestyle. He was not interested in being a productive member of society. He was not helping with bills. He was not helping with just family things that you have to do in a household, like clean up, prepare the kids, and giving her a sense of stability. She gave him a sense of stability. And she kind of like tried to switch roles and become, kind of like protect him, even though he should have been protecting her. You see what I'm saying, ladies? Stop trying to do these non-traditional roles when you really want a traditional household. Moses was not a traditional man. He was not a traditional provider and protector. He was a career criminal, and she could not accept that. Keisha really, she left her children without a mother because of her bad decision making. And this is what I'm talking about, ladies. A lot of times with these cautionary tales, I'm trying to get you to really tap into your critical thinking and your mindset about dealing with certain men. You have to not think with your heart when you're dealing with men, but think with your brain. Because a lot of men that if they know you've had a lot of bad relationships, you might have had a couple kids out of wedlock, they know you've been abandoned by men, and you have a lot of daddy issues or just men issues in general, they will capitalize on that to their benefit and to your detriment. So really getting in a healthy place, and that's why I really advocate therapy and counseling, but getting into a healthy mind space, whether that's going to therapy, whether that's diving into your said religion in a spiritual way, whether that is meditating, whether that is getting yourself into a safe space, in a community that you can thrive in and your kids can thrive in. I always suggest that because it just works out better instead of trying to add a broken man to your life. No man can improve your life. Only you can, with your mindset and your actions. Does that make sense? A guy can add to that because you're in a healthy space, but he can't improve your life if you have low self-esteem, low self-confidence. You are very self-loathing. You don't think you deserve much. A man that comes into your life when you're feeling that way can only hurt you because you're not in a healthy space, so you're not going to meet a healthy man. So again, that's what Keisha did. She was not in a healthy space and she did not meet a healthy man. He was a very broken man. And actually, I'm going to probably do a series on broken men and how to avoid. He was a broken man. He had been in and out of prison since the 90s. He was a career criminal. He had other assault. He had other very serious assault charges, violent crimes. He was into that. She was not in a healthy space, obviously, to accept this man into her life, into her kid's life, and to even have another baby by him. Ladies, you have to get your mind together. And that's why I always say, before you start dating, you start meeting men, trying to get married, trying to get sugar daddies, or just even male attention, you dive into yourself, into your core, and you get that together. You get your heart together. You get your mind together. You get your spirituality together. You get everything together for you. So when you do meet a man, you can detect if this is a healthy man for me, or do I need to just keep walking? I need to just keep walking or say next, because a lot of times broken men will look for broken women, or women that have had a hard life, or women that have had just very turbulent relationships, because they know they can manipulate those women. They can get what they want from those women, and those women will probably take care of them financially. They're not stupid. They know, especially these black men, they know there's not a lot of single black men around that are doing what a lot of black women really want and desire. And they know a lot of black women want black men, and they will settle for anybody just because he is black. That's why I don't advocate dating somebody based on race, based on religion, based on ethnicity. I don't really suggest that. I suggest dating men that are men that have high character, and that don't need you but want you. But let's get back into Keisha. He brutally unalived Keisha. And this became a nightmare for her family. She had just had a baby for him. This was just a horrible situation. And she really only had herself to blame. And this is why this channel focused a lot on responsibility and accountability, because the situations you get yourself in, even if you're a young woman, when you start having kids by a man that does not want to marry you, that does not want you, that does not think he has to provide financially and emotionally for you and that child, you get yourself in a very toxic, sticky situation that can literally, if you don't readjust quickly, can be a lifelong sentence of misery for you. And that's why I always suggest, do what's best for you, whatever that is. But don't let these men pigeonhole you into a life or a title of baby mama. Don't let them pigeonhole you into a life of toxic men, of bad relationships, of being the victim, because they will use your victimality to they'll keep victimizing you because they know, oh, well, she's used to being victimized, so I can just keep victimizing her, and it is what it is. Ladies, stop it. Stop it. This guy, unfortunately, this guy was crazy. This guy was crazy. And he unalived Keisha. And he also was a coward because he unalived himself in the end as well, because he didn't want to be brought to justice, because he had been brought to justice for other charges and he knew this was going to be a life sentence. Ladies, never get with a man that has nothing to lose. He will always end up hurting you physically, emotionally, mentally. Never be with a broken man that has nothing to lose. Stop trying to date men in prison. They are in prison for a reason. And some people are actually innocent, but some people that are career criminals, have violent charges, that were not wrongfully convicted, they will never be good husbands. They can't even be good men in society. So they can definitely not be a good husband. Ladies, this is like a really sad story. The only people that I'm really sad for, because I'm not sad for Keisha because she was a grown woman making poor decisions. She was over 25, so her brain was fully developed. I don't feel sorry for her, but I do feel sorry for her 3 little girls. They're growing up without a mother. I didn't get enough information to even find out what happened to them, but I will do an update if I find out what happened to the little girls. Hopefully her family took the little girls in. But this is what I'm talking about, ladies. When you have low self-esteem, you have low self-confidence, you have low self-worth, and you don't become the source of your confidence, your self-worth, and your will to live, you will let somebody like this into your life. And unfortunately, it may you may not be here after you let this person into your life. Just like Keisha. So if you're a beautiful, exotical, you're MLS woman, ladies, please, you're MGM, please get out of these ghetto neighborhoods. Please use discernment. Please dive into whatever you need to fill you up. That is not a low vibrating man that is in prison. This story really made me open my eyes to discernment and to like things that I have been through also. And why I would literally, when I was dating men, if they were not what I needed and wanted, I would leave immediately. I would separate myself from them. And this is why, because once you find out certain things about somebody, and it's not judging, but it is keeping yourself safe as a woman. And it's nothing wrong with wanting to desire marriage. If you have kids out of wedlock and you still want to desire marriage, honestly, find somebody else that has kids that won't judge you for having kids, but definitely don't go to the prison system looking for husbands. That was Keisha's fatal mistake. And all I can say about this story is I am praying for the children involved and the family involved on her side, because Keisha didn't deserve this. But again, Keisha did not see the red flags, or she did not listen to the red flags. She just kept trying to overlook stuff because she wanted to see the best in somebody. Ladies, we live in a world where people are super manipulative, they're evil, and they're deadly. So if you're dealing with a situation that does not serve you, get out and get out quietly and get the hell on. And I'm telling you this as somebody who has experienced, like, I've met toxic men and got the hell out of there quickly. Because I knew, like, this person will try to ruin my life, if not take it. Ladies, I want us to all be safe, especially us exoticals. We have to stick together and create a healthy, happy community of women that are confident, that know their self-worth, and that refuse to deal with toxic women or toxic men in any scenario, and that do actually take heed to the red flags. Again, ladies, please comment with kindness and care, like and subscribe, and be safe. Bye, ladies.